Henry V is a history play by William Shakespeare, believed to have been written in approximately 1599. It tells the story of King Henry V of England, focusing on events immediately before and after the Battle of Agincourt during the 100 Years' War. In the first quarto text, it was entitled The Chronicle History of Henry V, which became The Life of Henry V in the first folio text. The play is the final part of a tetralogy, preceded by Richard II, Henry IV, Part 1 and Henry IV, Part 2. The original audiences would thus have already been familiar with the title character, who was depicted in the Henry IV plays as a wild, undisciplined lad known as Prince Harry, and by Falstaff as Hal. In Henry V, the young prince has become a mature man and embarks on a successful conquest of France. Characters. Synopsis. Elizabethan stages did not use scenery, acknowledging the difficulty of conveying great battles and shifts of location on a bare stage. The chorus calls for a muse of fire, so that the actor playing King Henry can assume the port bearing of Mars. He asks, can this cockpit, i.e., the theatre, hold the vasty fields of France, and encourages the audience to use their imaginary forces to overcome the stage's limitations. Piece out our imperfections with your thoughts. The early scenes deal with the embarkation of Henry's fleet for France, and include a real-life incident in which the Earl of Cambridge and two others plotted to assassinate Henry at Southampton. When the chorus reappears, he describes the country's dedication to the war effort. They sell the pasture now to buy the horse. The chorus tells the audience, we'll not offend one's stomach with our play, a humorous reference to the fact that the scene of the play crosses the English Channel. The chorus appears again, seeking support for the English Navy. Grapple your minds to sternage of this navy, he says, and notes that the ambassador from the French comes back, tells Harry that the king doth offer him Catherine his daughter, at the siege of Harfleur. Henry utters one of Shakespeare's best-known speeches, beginning, once more unto the breach, dear friends, before the battle of Agincourt. Victory looks uncertain, and the young king's heroic character emerges in his decision to wander around the English camp at night, in disguise, so as to comfort his soldiers and determine what they really think of him. He agonizes about the moral burden of being king, noting that a king is only a man. Before the battle, Henry rallies his troops with the famous St. Crispin's Day speech, referring to, we few, we happy few, we band of brothers. Following the victory at Agincourt, Henry attempts to woo the French princess, Catherine of Valois. This is difficult because neither speaks the other's language well, but the humor of their mistakes actually helps achieve his aim. The action ends with the French king adopting Henry as his heir to the French throne and the prayer of the French queen, that English may as French Englishmen receive each other, God speak this Amen. But before the curtain descends, the chorus reappears one more time and ruefully notes, of Henry's own heirs state, so many had the managing, that they lost France, and made his England bleed, which oft our stage hath shown, a reminder of the tumultuous reign of Henry VI of England, which Shakespeare had previously brought to the stage in a trilogy of plays. Henry VI Part 1, Henry VI Part 2 and Henry VI Part 3. As with all of Shakespeare's serious plays, there are also a number of minor comic characters whose activities contrast with and sometimes comment on the main plot. In this case, they are mostly common soldiers in Henry's army, and they include Pistol, Nym, and Bardolph from the Henry IV plays. The army also includes a Scot, an Irishman, an Englishman and Llewellyn, a comically stereotyped Welsh soldier, whose name is an attempt at a phonetic rendition of Llewellyn. The play also deals briefly with the death of Falstaff, Henry's estranged friend from the Henry IV plays. whom Henry had rejected at the end of Henry IV, Part 2. Date and text. On the basis of an apparent allusion to Essex's mission to quell Tyrone's rebellion, the play is thought to date from early 1599. The chronicle history of Henry V was entered into the register of the Stationers' Company on 14 August 1600 by the bookseller Thomas Pavier. The first quarto was published before the end of the year, though by Thomas Millington and John Busby rather than Pavier. Q1 of Henry V is a bad quarto, a shortened version of the play that might be a pirated copy or reported text. A second quarto, a reprint of Q1, was published in 1602 by Pavier. Another reprint was issued as Q3 in 1619, with a false date of 1608, part of William Jaggard's false folio. The superior text first saw print in the first folio in 1623. Criticism and analysis. Views on warfare. Readers and audiences have interpreted the play's attitude to warfare in several different ways. On the one hand, it seems to celebrate Henry's invasion of France and valorizes military might. Alternatively, it can be read as an anti-war portrayal. Some critics connect the glorification of nationalistic pride and conquest with contemporary English military ventures in Spain and Ireland. The chorus directly refers to the looked-for military triumphs of Robert Devereux, 2nd Earl of Essex, in the fifth act. Henry V himself is sometimes seen as an ambivalent representation of the stage Machiavel, combining apparent sincerity with a willingness to use deceit and force to attain his ends. Other commentators see the play as looking critically at the motivation for Henry's violent cause. The noble words of the chorus and Henry are consistently undermined by the actions of Pistol, Bardolph and Nym. Pistol talks in a bombastic blank verse that seems to parody Henry's own style of speech. Pistol and his friends thus show up the actions of their rulers. The American critic Norman Rackham described the play as a picture with two simultaneous meanings. Rackham argues that the play never settles on one viewpoint towards warfare, Henry himself switching his style of speech constantly, talking of rape and pillage during Harfleur, but a patriotic glory in his St. Crispin's Day speech. The play's ambiguity has led to diverse interpretations in performance. Laurence Olivier's 1944 film, made during the Second World War, emphasizes the patriotic side, ignoring the fact that the enemy of the play, the French, were in fact allies in that conflict, while Kenneth Branagh's 1989 film stresses the horrors of war. A 2003 Royal National Theatre production featured Henry as a modern war general, ridiculing the Iraq invasion. A mock trial of Henry V for the crimes associated with the legality of the invasion and the slaughter of prisoners was held in Washington, D.C. in March 2010, drawing from both historical record and Shakespeare's play. The outcome was originally to be determined by an audience vote, but due to a draw it came down to a judge's decision. The court was divided on Henry's justification for war, but unanimously found him guilty on the killing of the prisoners after applying the evolving standards of the maturing society. Previously, the fictional Global War Crimes Tribunal ruled that Henry's war was legal. No non-combatant was killed unlawfully and that Henry bore no criminal responsibility for the death of the POWs. The fictional French Civil Liberties Union, who had instigated the tribunal, then attempted to sue in civil court. The judge concluded that he was bound by the GWCT's conclusions of law and also ruled in favor of the English. The Court of Appeals affirmed without opinion, thus leaving the matter for the Supreme Court's determination. Performance history. A tradition, impossible to verify, holds that Henry V was the first play performed at the New Globe Theatre in the spring of 1599. The Globe would have been the Woodnow mentioned in the prologue, but Shapiro argues that the Chamberlain's men were still at the curtain when the work was first performed, and that Shakespeare himself probably acted the chorus. In 1600, the first printed text states that the play had been played sundry times, the earliest performance for which an exact date is known, however, occurred on the 7th of January 1605, at court. Samuel Pepys saw Henry V in 1664, but it was written by Roger Boyle, 1st Earl of Orrery, not by Shakespeare. Shakespeare's play returned to the stage in 1723, in an adaptation by Aaron Hill. The longest-running production of the play in Broadway history was the staging starring Richard Mansfield in 1900, which ran for 54 performances. Other notable stage performances of Henry V include Charles Keane, Charles Alexander Calvert and Walter Hampden. Major revivals in London during the 20th and 21st centuries include 1900 Lyceum Theatre, Lewis Waller as Henry. 1914 Shaftesbury Theatre, Fr. Benson as Henry. 1916 His Majesty's Theatre, Martin Harvey as Henry. 1920 Strand Theatre, Murray Carrington as Henry. 1926 Old Vic Theatre, Balliol Holloway as Henry. 1928 Lyric, Hammersmith, Lewis Catton as Henry. 1931 Old Vic Theatre, Ralph Richardson as Henry. 1934 Alhambra Theatre, Godfrey Taylor as Henry. 1936 Ring, Blackfriars, Hubert Gregg as Henry. 1937 Old Vic Theatre, Laurence Olivier as Henry. 1938 Drury Lane Theatre, Ivan Novello as Henry. 1951 Old Vic Theatre, Alec Clunes as Henry. 1955 Old Vic Theatre, Richard Burton as Henry. 1960 Mermaid Theatre, William Peacock as Henry. 1960 Old Vic Theatre, Donald Houston as Henry. 1965 Old Witch Theatre, Ian Home as Henry. 1972 Old Witch Theatre, Timothy Dalton as Henry, also in 1974 in Roundhouse Theatre. 1976 Old Witch Theatre, Alan Howard as Henry. 1985 Barbican Theatre, Kenneth Branagh as Henry. 2003 National Theatre, Adrian Lester as Henry. 2013 Noel Coward Theatre, Jude Law as Henry V. In 2012 the Shakespeare's Globes 2012 Globe to Globe Festival, Henry V was the UK entry, one of 37 and the only one performed in spoken English. Jamie Parker performed the role of Henry. On British television the play has been performed as follows. 1951 Clement Macallan as Henry, Marius Goring as Chorus, Willoughby Gray as Pistol. 1953 Colin George as Henry, Toby Robertson as Chorus, Frank Windsor as Pistol. 1957 John Neville as Henry, Bernard Hepton as Chorus, Geoffrey Bayldon as Pistol. 1960 Robert Hardy as Henry, William Squire as Chorus, George A. Coupeau as Pistol. 1979 David Gwilym as Henry, Alec McCowan as Chorus, Brian Pringle as Pistol. 2012 Tom Hiddleston as Henry, John Hurt as Chorus, Paul Ritter as Pistol. Adaptations Film. There have been 3 major film adaptations. The first, directed by and starring Laurence Olivier in 1944, is a colourful and highly stylized version which begins in the Globe Theatre and then gradually shifts to a realistic evocation of the Battle of Agincourt. Olivier's film was made during the Second World War and was intended as a patriotic rallying cry at the time of the invasion of Normandy. The second major film, directed by and starring Kenneth Branagh in 1989, attempts to give a more realistic evocation of the period and lays more emphasis on the horrors of war. It features a mud-spattered and gruesome Battle of Agincourt, where Olivier staged the comic scenes as comedy, Branagh played them as serious drama. The third major film, starring Tom Hiddleston, was made by the BBC in 2012 as part of the Hollow Crown series. Dance. In 2004, postmodern choreographer David Gordon created a dance theatre version of the play called Dancing Henry V, which mixed William Walton's music written for the Olivier film, recorded speeches from the film itself and by Christopher Plummer, and commentary written by Gordon. The piece premiered at Danspace Project in New York, where it was compared favorably to a production of Henry IV at Lincoln Center. It has been revived 3 times, in 2005, 2007 and 2011, playing cities across the United States, and received a National Endowment for the Arts American Masterpieces in Dance Award. Music suite from Henry V is a 1963 orchestral arrangement of music that composer William Walton wrote for the 1944 Olivier film. The arrangement is by Muriel Matheson, and is in 5 movements. Henry V, a Shakespeare scenario, is a 50-minute work for narrator, SATB chorus, boys choir and full orchestra. The musical content is taken from Walton's score for the Olivier film, edited by David Lloyd-Jones and arranged by Christopher Palmer. It was first performed at the Royal Festival Hall in London, in May 1990. Performers for this premiere were Christopher Plummer, the Academy Chorus, choristers of Westminster Cathedral and Academy of St. Martin in the Fields. The conductor was Sir Neville Mariner. A CD of the work with these performers was released by Chandos in 1990. Over a Muse of Fire is a symphonic overture for full orchestra and vocal soloist, written by Darryl Cubian. The work is 12 minutes long, and was premiered by the New Jersey Symphony Orchestra in March 2015. The work is scored for full orchestra, with vocal soloist. The vocal part incorporates select lines from the text, and the vocal range is adaptable to different voice types. The soloist for the premiere performances with the New Jersey Symphony was former October Project lead singer Mary Farrell. Citations: Carrot A.B. Shakespeare, William. Gary Taylor, ed. Henry V. Oxford University Press. ISBN 978-0-19-953651-1. Carrot Taylor, Gary. 3 Studies in the Text of Henry V. Oxford, The Clarendon Press. ISBN 0-19-812913-0. Carrot Greer, Clayton A. Shakespeare's Use of the Famous Victories of Henry V. Notes and Queries. N.S. 1. 238-41. Carrot Berry, Ralph. Henry V. Changing Styles in Shakespeare. Abingdon, England. Routledge. p. 67. ISBN 0-415-35316-5. The concern of productions in the contemporary era is bringing the darker, more skeptical passages into a living relation with the more heroically straightforward. Carrot Greenblatt, Stephen. Invisible Bullets. Glyph 8. 40-61. Carrot Folks. A. Shakespeare and Violence. Cambridge. Cambridge University Press, 2003. 105. Carrot Watts, Cedric and John Sutherland, Henry V. War Criminal, and Other Shakespeare Puzzles. Oxford. Oxford University Press, 200. 117. Carrot Spencer, Janet M. Princes, Pirates, and Pigs. Criminalizing Wars of Conquest in Henry V. Shakespeare Quarterly 47. 168. Carrot Rackham, Norman. Shakespeare and the Problem of Meaning. Chicago. University of Chicago Press, 1981. 62. Carrot Judgment at Agincourt. C-SPAN. The 16th of March 2010. Link to video. Carrot Trina, Tim. High Court Rules for French at Agincourt. DC Theatre Scene. Carrot Jones, Andy. High Court Justices, Legal Luminaries Debate Shakespeare's Henry V. National Law Journal. Carrot Shapiro, James. 1599, A Year in the Life of William Shakespeare. London. Faber. p. 99. ISBN 0-571-21480-0. Carrot Bate, Jonathan. Rasmussen, Eric. William Shakespeare Complete Works. London. Macmillan. p. 1031. ISBN 978-0-230-00350-7. Carrot F. E. Halliday, A Shakespeare Companion 1564–1964, Baltimore, Penguin, 1964. A. Beeger, Andrew. King Henry V. New Cambridge Shakespeare. Cambridge, England. Cambridge University Press. pp. 48–49. ISBN 0-521-84792-3. Rockwell, John. Reverberations. 3 Shakespeares, each with a purpose, each hoping to thrill. New York Times. FY 2010 Grant Awards. American Masterpieces. Dance, on the National Endowment for the Arts website. Sirotsky, Paul. Walton, Suite. Henry V. Notes by Paul Sirotsky. MusicWeb International. Retrieved 31 March 2015. Henry V. A Shakespeare Scenario, Vocal and Orchestral Parts. Oxford University Press. Retrieved 31 March 2015. Anderson, Don. Henry V. A Shakespeare Scenario. Toronto Symphony Orchestra. Retrieved 31 March 2015. Chandos Release of Henry V. A Shakespeare Scenario. AllMusic. Retrieved 31 March 2015. Cohen, Adam. Kubian, Rachmaninoff and Tchaikovsky NJSO at Bergenpack. Broadway World. Retrieved 31 March 2015. Reich, Ronnie. The NJSO plays Rachmaninoff, Tchaikovsky and Kubian. The Star Ledger. Retrieved 31 March 2015.